Guest video. Experiments with Uri Geller. Many people believe that Uri Geller's only ability was bending spoons, and even then he was a fake. But this video, released by the Stanford Research Institute, shows he was able to do a number of things. And he was no fake, showing a childish delight when an experiment succeeded. The experiments, devised by Hal Puthoff and Russell Targ, were created under the auspices of the Stargate project, itself organized by the US CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, and SRI International, Stanford Research Institute. The Stargate program was a top-secret CIA project that aimed to investigate and harness psychic phenomena for intelligence-gathering purposes. Launched in the 1970s, the program explored the potential of psychic ability in general, from remote viewing to dowsing. Although the program was officially terminated in 1995, its legacy still remains a topic of interest and intrigue. Watch the video Experiments with Uri Geller on the Internet Archive website. The link is given in the description below. I think the film shows that the experiments were well designed. Remember that the CIA were interested in extrasensory perception, as well as remote viewing, metal bending, telepathy, and there are even claims Geller has been a psychic spy all these years. About Uri Geller. Uri Geller, born the 20th of December, 1946, is an Israeli-British magician, psychic and television personality. He became well known on television for his trademark television performances of spoon bending, but as the film will make clear, he can do far more than this. Geller was born in Tel Aviv. His mother and father were of Jewish descent and had escaped Hungary shortly before World War II. His father served with the Jewish Brigade of the 8th Army under General Montgomery, later becoming a sergeant major in the Israeli army. Uri Geller writes, "I come from a very poor family in Tel Aviv. My father didn't want children, and he forced my mother to have 8 abortions. I am her only child, the 9th. She fought for my pregnancy, saying she wouldn't agree to do it anymore. When he was 10, his parents divorced, and Geller was sent to live with a foster family. At age 11, Uri moved with his mother to Cyprus, where she married a Hungarian Jewish pianist who managed a hotel in Nicosia, but he passed away a year later. During that time, the long-standing Turkish-Cypriot conflict escalated into a full-blown war. Uri Geller recalls, "I saw death in the streets, people killed, shattered skulls, blood." At 18 he joined the Israeli Army's Paratroopers Brigade and served in the 1967 Six-Day War when he was wounded. But even during these early years Uri showed signs of very unusual abilities, which led Andrea Puharich, who had heard from his friend Itzhak Bentov about the feats Bentov had seen for himself, to arrange for him to visit the USA. In this he received the support of Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell. And thus in 1971, Geller was persuaded to go to the United States, and in December 1972 the experiments with Geller under the Stargate program began. As you will see from the video, Geller demonstrated psychokinetic skills, dowsing skills, and telepathic skills. He was able to bend spoons, describe hidden drawings, and make watches stop or run faster. Geller said he performed those feats through willpower and the strength of his mind. James Randi's plan to discredit him. In 1973, Geller appeared on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. James Randi was asked to help Carson, and the show prepared their own props without informing Geller, and did not let Geller or his staff anywhere near them. When Geller joined Carson on stage, he was told he was expected to display his abilities using the provided articles. Geller said, "I'm surprised because before this program your producer came and he read me at least 40 questions you were going to ask me." Geller was unable to display any paranormal abilities using the props provided by Randy, and he expressed his displeasure at feeling he was being pressed to perform by Carson. According to Adam Higginbotham, the result was a legendary immolation, in which Geller offered up flustered excuses to his host as his abilities failed him again and again. It was perhaps all made unnecessarily humiliating by James Randi, as he could bend spoons too, via the same paranormal means. "I sat there for 22 minutes, humiliated," Geller said. "I went back to my hotel, devastated. I was about to pack up the next day and go back to Tel Aviv. I thought, that's it, I'm destroyed." But this appearance on The Tonight Show, which Carson and Randy had orchestrated to debunk Geller's claimed abilities, backfired. To Geller's astonishment, he was immediately booked on The Merv Griffin Show. He was on his way to becoming a paranormal superstar. A debunking book by magician James Randi, entitled The Magic of Uri Geller, 1975, simply increased both men's public profile, but failed to demolish Geller's reputation. Uri's own account of his early career, My Story, was published in 1975 and translated into 13 languages. It led to numerous requests from all over the world for promotion tours. The result of the tests. Meanwhile, Harold Puthoff and Russell Targ had carried out 6 weeks of tests in 1972 to 1973. Some of these were documented live in the SRI film Experiments with Uri Geller, 1973, and later published in the leading scientific journal Nature, the 18th of October, 1974. Also in this period, Geller's metal bending and fracturing skills were tested successfully by Wilbur Franklin, chairman of the physics department at Kent State University, and by U.S. Navy research physicist Eldon Byrd of the Naval Surface Weapons Center in Maryland. Byrd learned to do anomalous metal bending himself and to teach others to do the same. In South Africa, radiologist Alan Price followed up a total of 137 case reports of Uri's apparent ability to act as catalyst for all kinds of strange occurrences. For instance, metal bending by people who had seen him on television in their own homes. All of the above-mentioned research was included in the Geller Papers, 1976, edited by Newsweek science reporter Charles Panati. In 1972, Geller visited Germany, where he was credited with such feats as stopping a cable car and a department store escalator. The New Scientist devoted no fewer than 16 pages of its 17th of October, 1974 issue to Geller going to Japan. In 1979, Uri married Hannah Strang, with whom he is still married. They have 2 children, Natalia and Daniel. But in a 1996 television talk show with Esther Rantzen, Geller declared that he had suffered from anorexia nervosa and bulimia, and John Lennon had told him he looked like a Holocaust survivor. Lennon recommended Japan, and Geller believes spending a year in Japan with his family helped turn his life around. Uri Geller recalls, "John Lennon told me one day that I looked like a survivor from Auschwitz and that I needed to be more spiritual. And I said to him, I've heard the word, but what does it mean? And he said, go to Japan, you'll find it there. I listened to him, packed a suitcase, got on a plane with Hannah, the kids, my mother and my brother-in-law, and we flew to Japan." Uri Geller says, "I rented a van there and we drove to Mount Fuji. I disappeared into a forest for a year. We lived in a wooden cabin and it was the best year of my life. I found spirituality and realized that one needs to live and to listen and to taste and to see, and it helped save me from the tsunami wave that was beginning to drown me. Who I am stems from everything I went through in my childhood. Seeing a shattered skull with a brain spilling out of it when you're 11 years old, it does something to you. I experienced anxiety attacks, but I got through it. Residency in England and wealth from dowsing oil. Geller moved to England in 1985. He lived in a huge house in the village of Sunning-on-Thames, Berkshire, in England, with a tennis court, swimming pool, a helicopter pad, and a glass meditation pyramid. His family lived there for some 35 years. Where did all this wealth come from? Dowsing for oil. Indeed, by the mid-1980s, Geller was described as a millionaire several times over, and claimed to be performing mineral dowsing services for mining groups at a standard fee of £1 million. He had been encouraged by Sir Val Duncan, chairman of the Rio Tinto Zinc Corporation, to use his dowsing skills, and he was able to put them into practice in Mexico. The Director General of the state oil company Pemex told him his dowsing had been very precise, as it is said to have been on several subsequent commissions from other companies. These were carried out on a total non-disclosure basis, though one his employers, Peter Sterling, former chairman of the Australian mining company Xanex, has stated on the record, Financial Times, the 18th of January, 1986, that he was well pleased with Uri's services. Goes to work in Israel. But in 2006, Uri returned to Israel with the reality TV series The Successor. And in 2015, the entire Geller's family moved to Israel to be with him. Uri Geller packed up his lavish life in England and moved to Old Jaffa, where he established a museum in his name. Old Jaffa is a neighborhood of Tel Aviv, Yaffo, Israel, and the oldest part of Jaffa. It is a neighborhood with art galleries, restaurants, theaters, museums, and nightclubs, and is one of Tel Aviv's main tourist attractions. Thus, in 2024, as Uri reached 77 years old, he now spends his time taking groups round the eclectic exhibits he has amassed over the years. His appearance on the cover of a Marvel comic, the golden egg given to him by John Lennon, the spoon-covered Cadillac, huge crystals, and photos of people he has met, for example former Prime Minister Theresa May, who also lives in Sunning, Michael Jackson and Nigel Mansell. And he called Salvador Dali his artistic mentor, and was in contact with him right into Dali's old age. These are Dali sculptures. The photos of aliens he collects, and UFOs, and the star of his museum, kept outside because of its size? The biggest bent spoon sculpture in the world, weighing 11 tons. Uri Geller says, "By the way, I have never in my life called a journalist. Never. They all call me because I am still a focal point for controversy. The skeptics have created an enigma around me, the strangeness of Uri Geller, the mysteriousness. The skeptics have no understanding of public relations. I always repeat what Oscar Wilde said 100 years ago. There is only one thing worse in life than being talked about, and that is not being talked about. Do you know how many skeptics it takes to change a light bulb? None, because they live in the dark. Let's leave the skeptics behind, we are on an amazing journey because we are open-minded and believers.